2016 Yamaha Yz450Fx Ride Review. Is Yamaha's Yz450F bred off-roader the new king of cross-country? In its 60-year history, Yamaha's lineup has never boasted more motocross and off-road competition models than right now. Already fortified with a broad range of two-stroke models, including the stalwart Yz85, Yz125, and Yz250S, Yamaha is the only Japanese manufacturer to maintain a full range of motocross ring dings. The tuning fork brand just recently unleashed its tasty new Yz250X for two-stroke off-road customers. In the four-stroke segment, the Yz250F and Yz450F motocross machines already run at the head of their respective classes, and Yamaha upped its game last year by unleashing two new off-road thumpers, the WR250F and Yz250FX, to satisfy customer needs ranging from casual trail riding and enduros to full-blown cross-country competition. All that was left was to revamp the WR450F to incorporate the rearward inclined engine configuration of the Yz450F in similar fashion to the 250s, but Yamaha has once again gone a step further by also introducing the all-new Yz450FX. That gives Yamaha fans their choice of no less than 7 off-road competition models from a single Japanese manufacturer. If you didn't know what you were looking at, you might think that the Yz450FX is just another Yamaha motocrosser. However, such items as the heavy-duty plastic skid plate and the shark fin-shaped rear disc protector are visual clues to the FX's off-road racing intentions. Steeper first, second, and third gear ratios and off-road specific ECU conspire to turn the Yz450FX into a mountain goat on steroids. Its low-end tractability and smooth yet brawny power output can make short work of technical obstacles like this rock. Test rider Nick Garvin goes for the proverbial leap in a single bound. To prove its mettle, we enlisted Southern California off-road privateer Nick Garvin, who contests the pro class in the Kenda SRT/AMA National Championship Hare and Hound Series aboard a KTM, to hammer the FX and give us his thoughts. After taking a few loops of Yamaha's nicely executed Kauai off-road loop, Garvin was impressed. The Yz450FX's fuel-injected, DOHC, 449 cubic centimeters engine shares many of the same engine specs as the F, but the FX is fitted with electric start, a different ECU and a different crankshaft and counterbalancer than the motocross bike. The clutch and transmission are also redesigned for cross-country use. Of course, Yamaha started with its World Motocross Championship winning Yz450F, which incorporates the Yz's mass centralizing, rearward slanted, liquid-cooled, fuel-injected, DOHC, titanium valved, 449 cubic centimeters 4-stroke single. The FX's 97.0 mm x 60.8 mm bore and stroke are identical to the Yz450F, as are its 12.5:1 compression ratio and Yamaha fuel injection, YFI, system, which utilizes a Keihin 44 mm throttle body. The FX's double overhead cams even use the same lift and duration specs as the Yz's. The only difference is a slight relocation of the decompression mechanism. That said, there are significant differences that set the two models apart. First and foremost is the FX's convenient electric start system. A Kickstarter is still employed as a backup. The two models still use the same engine cases. Look at the front of any 16 Yz450 engine, under the exhaust port, and you will see the mounting bosses for the FX's electric starter. The only real visible difference is that the FX's ignition cover is slightly wider to accommodate the heavy-duty, 160-watt generator assembly that keeps the FX's battery charged and also allows for the addition of accessory lighting. Despite its engine and transmission changes, we were impressed with just how competent the FX was on the motocross track portions of our Kauai Creek test loop, especially after we reprogrammed the ECU. The FX can shred berms with the best 450 cubic centimeters motocrossers in the class. The FX's ECU is also different than the Yz's, and the two ECUs are not interchangeable. The FX's unit is tuned to deliver a different style of power to meet the needs of cross-country racing as opposed to motocross, and it also features additional leads to run the electrical system. Like the Yz's ECU, it can, however, be tuned to alter the engine's power delivery via Yamaha's handy accessory GYTR power tuner. It should also be noted that the FX's ECU is also sold by Yamaha as an accessory for WR riders who want it, although the swap surrenders the WR's green sticker compliance status. The Yz450Fx 5-speed transmission features steeper first, second, and third gears for low-speed trail work and a taller fifth gear for engaging the warp factor in open terrain. There are differences to the FX's internals as well, the biggest of these being a wide ratio 5-speed transmission that incorporates steeper first, second, and third gear ratios for crawling through technical sections and a taller fifth gear ratio for high-speed riding across open terrain. Yamaha says that the gearing is 30% wider than the Yz's. The FX's 13/50ths final drive gearing is only 2 teeth steeper than its motocross sister, but the variance in first gear alone is the equivalent of adding 13 teeth to the Yz's rear sprocket, while fifth gear's overdrive is the equivalent of taking 4 teeth off the Yz. Even though the FX's transmission ratios aren't as close as the Yz's, Garvin was impressed with just how much pull each gear offered, at least from second gear on up to fifth. First gear isn't something that I would find myself needing to use for desert work because it is so short, but I could see it in GNCC racing, Garvin said. Even in tight stuff, I was impressed with how much range I had with second gear, and if I was just out trail riding, I would probably leave the bike in third gear most of the time. The engine is such a tractor, and it just pulls third gear really well even on tight single track trails. Fifth gear definitely makes this bike go fast. It would be great for the desert. Fourth is already fast, but this gear is just over the top. The funny thing is, I think that the FX can be really versatile. If you hadn't told me that this isn't a motocross bike, I would be totally happy taking it out on the track and racing motocross with it. The FX chassis geometry is identical to the Yz's, but Yamaha has tuned the chassis flex for off-road use by swapping to engine mounting brackets that are 2 mm thinner than the 8 mm units found on the Yz. They're also shaped differently. Yamaha already tweaked the 2016 Yz450Fs chassis for better bump compliance by adjusting the fork offset to deliver more front-end feel and better turning stability, and switching to frame spars that are 12 mm wider at the swing arm pivot. The Yz450Fx incorporates these changes as well. There are other stock off-road bikes that are more stable at high speeds, Garvin said. If this was my bike, I would spend a lot more time dialing in the suspension settings to see if I could eliminate the twitch completely, but if I couldn't, I would just put a steering damper on it, like a Scott's or a GPX, and it would be fine. Overall, though, it handles well. It carves sand turns well, although sometimes the front end will knife in flat turns. It also tracks well through rutted corners. It doesn't want to dart right or left. Suspension at both ends is plush, with KYB's 48mm speed-sensitive system, SSS, fork up front and a fully adjustable piggyback reservoir fork out back. We love the fork, but aggressive or heavy riders might opt to revalve the shock for better bottoming resistance. The stock suspension on this bike is really plush, and the forks are really nice, but if you bottom the rear end over a drop-off or in deep braking bumps, it really clanks. Braking is superb on the 450Fx, with the 270mm front and 245mm rear discs delivering excellent feel and plenty of power for crawling up or down any obstacle. The FX's brakes are identical to the Yz's. The 270mm front disc and Nissan 2-piston caliper delivers strong and linear stopping power, and the same goes for the 245mm rear disc and single piston caliper out back. Garvin said he is a fan of Yamaha's brakes. They stay strong and smooth without fading or getting grabby. I wasn't able to get them to overheat, he said. That's exactly what you want on an off-road bike. The front brake is really, really good. It's really comfortable, Garvin said. Its seating is such that you feel like you are really on top of the bike and can control it. I like the bar bend, which is a little lower than I am used to but fit this bike's ergonomics perfectly. I'd have no trouble racing it in stock form. An 18-inch rear wheel is a virtual necessity for off-road racing, as the greater tire sidewall distance between the rim and the ground gives the tire more flex for better traction and better flat resistance. The FX features an 18-inch rear wheel, and both the front and rear wheels are shod with Dunlop's excellent AT81 off-road tires, which deliver superb traction and feedback in a wide variety of off-road conditions. Yamaha sweated many of the details on the 2016 Yz450Fx. For instance, it is equipped with the aforementioned heavy-duty skid plate and rear disc shark fin. That's an improvement over the 2015 Yz250Fx, which should have come from the factory with a skid plate, but didn't. The FX also features radiators with a different fin pitch than the YZ to allow for better airflow through the radiators at low speeds. For $8,890, FX buyers can score themselves one heck of a versatile off-road motorcycle. If only it came with handguards and a larger fuel tank, it might be the bargain of the decade. However, even though its $8,890 asking price is less than its Eurobred competition, we would like to see the FX come from the factory fitted with the accessory GYTR handguards that we fitted to our stock machine. Yamaha sells them for $150. We also think that the FX deserves more fuel capacity in stock trim, and before you go thinking that this is a case of the YZ's mid-mounted fuel tank layout prohibiting such a thing, don't. IMS Products sells a 2.9-gallon tank for YZs, and Yamaha has already added the tank to its accessory catalog. For the FX to be truly off-road race-ready, we say a larger tank should be included as part of the stock package. Is that nitpicking? Maybe, but overall we really like Yamaha's new open-class off-road racer. That should come as no surprise since we have been impressed with the progress that the company has made in developing the Yz450F platform during the 2015 and 2016 model years. And if we had to choose between the two models, we would probably go with the Yz450Fx by virtue of its more adaptable transmission and electric start. For our money, the Yz450Fx may just be the most versatile dirt bike on the planet today.